Recently, I was with my student writing group and I asked them what kinds of videos they would want to see so that I could give them real helpful tips for where they were in the writing process. And one of my students wrote this: perhaps a video on finding the right words when you're struggling on a sentence or finding synonyms easier. My friend, I am so glad you asked. Hey everyone, I am Dana Taylor. I am a novelist working on revising and publishing my novel Collide, and this is the channel where I talk about writing and the writing community. All of these strategies are good, and I use them all at different times, so it really just depends on what kind of situation you're in and what works best for you. We'll begin with the strategy that I wish I could tell you that I did all the time because I think it would make me a better writer, but I don't do it all the time, and that's okay. And this step is in the pre-writing stage, and it kind of has two parts to it. The first part is that I have been working to bulk up my vocabulary. So there are tons of ways to do this, of course. A few that I personally have tried is when I hear an interesting word in a song or see an interesting word on a website, I write it down and try to include it somewhere in my writing as kind of a little challenge. I've also been playing different vocabulary games and things. There are some on the Merriam-Webster dictionary app on my phone. They've got a great vocab game which has a ton of words that I did not know, and I pride myself on having a pretty good vocabulary to begin with. One thing that I do before I even start writing is I will go and I will create a list of synonyms for words that I know I'm going to use a lot. My novel is about characters who have superhuman abilities. And one of the abilities that I focus on a lot in the first book is pyrokinesis. So I've got some characters who can control fire, and I realized that I was using the word fire a lot. So before I even went to begin revising those scenes in my novel, I created a master list of synonyms for the word fire. Even if I don't use all of them in every situation, it's nice to have a list going. I made this list on Google Keep, which is one of my favorite apps ever. You can use it on your phone and on your computer, and your notes will sync up with each other. But my favorite part about it is that if you are on a personal Google account, so not a school account or a work account that is owned by some other organization, if you're on a personal Google account, you can actually open your notes on Google Keep inside of the document on the side tab, and it is so convenient. So if I am working on one of those scenes where I'm talking about pyrokinesis and I am noticing I'm using that word fire a lot, I just pull it right up and it's there, and the work that I already did to set myself up for success is right there where I left it. Now, just because I've been working on my vocabulary doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to have all the right words in the right moment. So my second strategy is all about what to do when you are in the writing process and you are stumped for a word. I think this is what my student actually was kind of referring to when she asked this question. But my second strategy is just a list of resources that I've used and how I use them. My favorite online tool to use is WordHippo, which my students know because I show it off to them all the time. It has a lot of really great colloquial synonyms, so words that people actually use out in the real world instead of really stiff words that nobody actually uses outside of the dictionary. And I also recently just got 2 new resources, which I'm so excited to show off because I've only owned them for 3 days and they have already changed the game. I bought 2 books on Amazon. The first one is The Emotion Thesaurus by Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. This had been highly, highly recommended to me, so I picked this one up. And while I was shopping for that one, I also found Body Beats to Build On by April Gardner. And these are both phenomenal books that I have loved using even in just the couple days that I've owned them. I was really excited to get these 2 books because one of the things that I noticed I really struggle with is that I use the same 3 facial expressions to describe basically everything in my books. I talk about people frowning and their eyebrows raising all the time, and I apparently have an obsession with eyebrows. My beta reader was like, "You are constantly talking about these people's eyebrows." So I was really excited to take a look at these books to figure out how to express emotions in a different way than I'm used to. What I love about the Emotion Thesaurus is that each emotion has an entire spread, 2 pages, of what somebody might look like if they're feeling that emotion, how they might be acting, what they might feel on the inside, what they could be thinking, what they might be looking like if they're trying to suppress or hide that emotion. And then down here it has like related emotions that could like escalate to if they're feeling that for a long time, or de-escalate if they calm down a little bit. This is phenomenal. I've really enjoyed this so far. Body Beats is a fantastic resource to pair with the Emotion Thesaurus because it talks about all of the different like nuances of the way that people respond to things. It is split up into these different categories based on like different parts of the body. So there's a whole part about like the shoulders and posture. There's a whole part about the heart and what it feels like when it's racing. There's a whole part about the face and the eyebrows, which I have been ignoring because I already talk about eyebrows too much. All joking aside though, this has been a really wonderful resource. It is super handy to just pick up and find what I need when I'm looking for a different way to describe a facial expression or something like that. This edition also has a bunch of dialogue tags in the back to describe how people are saying things, and my favorite part about it is that there are a bunch of little lines in here, so if I think of my own variations of body beats, then I can write my own in. So that's something that's going to be really cool for me as I continue to grow as a writer. Finally, strategy number 3 is in the post-writing phase. This is what I actually do the most often in my own writing. So I have a short attention span. If you've ever been in one of my classes, you know that already, but for me, it is really important to keep momentum and to not stop writing, because if I go on to Word Hippo sometimes, then I'll see an advertisement for something, and then I'll check my email, and then in my email there will be an email about Old Navy, and they're having a sale, and then I end up on Old Navy for an hour, and I haven't written anything, and I don't remember what word I was looking for. So for me, a lot of times I just put in a filler word, whether it's the first word that pops into my head, or I might literally type in there, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, and then I highlight it and I come back to it later. One of the things that NaNoWriMo taught me is that you can edit an imperfect page, but you cannot edit a blank page. So sometimes I just have to put in that filler word and come back to it later. Then when I go to review the writing, I highlight words and phrases that I want to change, whether that's because I think they could be more interesting or because I've used that phrase a whole bunch of times. This is the strategy that works the best for me because in my brain, I kind of have a couple different writing modes, and in one of those modes, I'm really good at multitasking, but sometimes I'm not really good at multitasking, and I really just need to focus on getting words down on the page, NaNoWriMo style. So really, my third strategy for finding the right word is that you don't have to. You don't have to find the right word right away. You can find it later. Come back to it. Writing is rewriting after all. So there you have it. Those are 3 strategies that I personally use to find the right word when I'm writing and trying to make my writing sound more interesting. Thank you to the student that suggested this. If you have more video suggestions, leave those down in the comments, as well as any other strategies or resources that you think I could use. I'm looking to expand my collection of writing craft books, so let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll see y'all in the next one, and happy writing.